So welcome to Module 5 of your Find Love, Keep Love programme. Thank you for being with me through this journey. I hope you've been enjoying it. I hope you've also been finding that when you work from the inside out, you really feel like you've got a firm foundation for building the kind of love and relationships that you want in your life. And in particular, that you're feeling confident about moving forward with your romantic relationships. So today we're going to talk about relationship skills, and these are the skills that will help you to develop a much more fulfilling and intimate relationship in the future. And I'd like to challenge you to think of ways that you can put these skills into practice with the people who are already important in your life, obviously at an appropriate level. So if, like me, you grew up believing the myth that all you need is love, then it may be a strange idea to think that skills can help you to have wonderful romantic relationships. It doesn't sound like a romantic idea. Great relationships just happen, don't they, if you're lucky enough or if fate chooses you. Well, actually, I don't think it's like that. The initial spark may be fate or luck, but a really great relationship is created, not fated. We all know what a great decision feels like and what an uncomfortable decision feels like. And great relationships are created one skillful decision at a time. Do we take the path of more love or less love? Do we take the path that is more skillful, takes a bit more effort perhaps? Or do we just rest back, take it easy and go with the flow? Sometimes we need to make that choice, and sometimes it does take more effort. But if we make those consistently skillful, loving choices, then our relationships are going to be so much more fulfilling, and they're going to survive the storms of life. And that's why I use a ship as my metaphor for a great relationship. So what's gone wrong in the past for you? Maybe take a few minutes just to reflect on past relationships. What have been the habits or the choices that you've made in the past that haven't worked for you? Perhaps, like me, you made the choice to say, look, don't sweat the small stuff. Not realising that the small stuff becomes the big stuff. And it's a little bit like allowing woodworm to gnaw away, to make holes in the hull of your ship. Perhaps you've become a shadow of yourself. You've allowed yourself to diminish and become less. Or maybe you've done the opposite and you've become obstinate because you really don't want that resentment to build towards a partner or somebody important in your life in the past. Neither of those positions are really going to bring you a loving future. Our feelings or our best guesses are often wrong when it comes to relationships, and the science of love has shown that brilliant couples are practicing some really clear relationship skills and avoiding 4 very toxic habits. So that's why I've written this module for you, because before I knew this stuff, my love life was incredibly frustrating. I loved with great passion and I worked really, really hard and with great determination, but love still didn't work until I learnt the relationship skills. So this is based on the latest evidence of what makes love work. And there are essentially just 3 things we need to get right. We need to have a sound hull of friendship. So that's why the ship begins with a hull. Then we need to know how to manage our emotions, the wind in the sails of our relationship. And we need to find meaning. In the crow's nest, we look out and we see a vision of what we'd love to happen in our relationships. And using the ship's wheel, we can steer a course towards that happily ever island, that vision that we have. And we can steer away from the icebergs, the 4 relationship killers. So the foundation of every successful relationship is a solid and deep friendship where partners love each other for who they are, and they deepen that love through what they do. And that's a really important distinction. They love each other for who they are, and they deepen that love by what they do. They transform conflict by gaining understanding. They become responsive to each other, and that's the thing that builds trust, so that they can depend on each other. They create meaning by talking about their dreams, their life's purpose, what they want to accomplish. Now, I was surprised to find, as I studied my MSc and the science of love, that there are at least 5 main components, even just to the friendship bit. Each one of those 5 is a skill that we can master. Now, in reality, we're probably only going to master these with a future partner over the space of an entire lifetime, but we can already practice them. We can gain confidence with them, and we can learn habits now. Habits like welcoming people into our world, admiring and appreciating people, treasuring the time we spend with those who are close to us, learning to communicate love and affection in different ways so that people really feel that love and affection, and building a strong bond of trust with others by being responsive to them. Those are the 5 friendship skills, and that's why there are 5 layers to the relationship. And you can write those into your workbooks in whatever way feels right to you. Now, whenever I tell people that research has identified 4 relationship killers, they want to know immediately, well, what are they? Most of us would think it was something around conflict and avoiding conflict. We're very aware of how fragile relationships are and how easy it is to fall out of love, to fall out of connection. You've been there. So it's important to know what to avoid. But avoiding things like conflict may actually be kind of shooting ourselves in the foot. Conflict can be a way of deepening our intimacy, but it's the way that we do conflict. So we need to avoid criticism. We need to avoid defensiveness. We need to avoid contempt, and we need to avoid emotional disengagement. So what do those 4 things really mean? Criticism is saying you are the problem, instead of saying, we've got a problem, how can we deal with it together? How can we be a team and fix it? Defensiveness is saying, I'm not the problem, you're the problem, or why are you always picking on me? Contempt is saying, oh my word, I've married a problem, or I'm in a relationship with a problem. It's that sense of being better than your partner in some way. And emotional disengagement is when things have gone so badly wrong that you just want to opt out emotionally. You want to step away from the scary argument and you just don't want to go there. So whilst conflict is often uncomfortable, avoiding it can actually make us more negative towards people in our lives, in particular a partner. We talk about clearing the air, and if we can do this really skillfully, that can totally change the course of any relationship. And if you join my Stronger Relationship program later on, then you'll find that there are some brilliant skills for really understanding one another and clearing the air. So what do we need to do? We need to stop conflict from escalating, and instead we need to turn conflict into intimacy and understanding. And we need to learn to repair after an argument. So the last 2 skills are the ones that are most often overlooked, and they're the skills of creating meaning in our relationships. It's incredibly powerful to put your vision, your dreams, your goals, your life's purpose into words. So perhaps the most important relationship skills are those of having a vision for our relationship, creating daily habits that take us towards that vision, and supporting one another to be our fullest selves and follow our dreams. So let's use the time we have now to reflect on how skillful we already are in these 10 areas of relationship. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and you can just pause the video and reflect on those, make a few notes if you like. How good are we at welcoming people into our world? How do we express our admiration and our appreciation? How do we treasure the time we spend with those who are closest to us? How do we communicate love and affection effectively in a language that somebody else really understands? And how do we build a strong bond of trust by being responsive to people? Those are the 5 key friendship skills. Happy couples ask each other open questions. Now, what makes an open question different from any other kind of question? Open questions are the ones that draw you closer to one another. They're questions that require a little bit of thought, a little bit of feeling, not just the yes, no, or list of items. So you may ask someone, wow, what did you buy at the bookshop? And the answer might be quite interesting. It might be a title or two. But when you ask, wow, what inspired you to buy that book? Or what is it about that book that really opens you up or lights you up? And then you begin to explore someone else's thoughts and experiences and ideas. Then you get access to their inner world. And this is what successful couples do. They practice asking open questions. They practice listening without interruption. Successful couples also remember what they hear. Now, if your memory is as poor as mine, getting into the habit, even with friends, of just jotting down the important things in their lives can make a real difference to your friendship. So, how good are you at asking open questions? How good are you at listening really attentively? How good are you at remembering what you hear? Now, how about your emotions? How skillfully do you manage this stuff just in your day-to-day life? Now, when I'm working one-to-one with people, they tend to see not just their love lives change, but all their relationships, maybe their family relationships and friends and interactions with colleagues and just about everyone they meet. Because when we understand how to manage emotions, everything in our life changes. So this is about deepening our understanding, turning conflict into intimacy, and learning to repair. Now, the last two relationship skills that we're going to talk about are about putting your vision, your dreams, your goals, your meaningful activities and kind of sense of purpose into words and expressing that certainly within a relationship, but also expressing it now so that you've got a really clear vision of what your future relationship should be like. How good are you at being really clear about your vision? How good are you at expressing that? I was working with a lovely woman who hadn't dated in 6 years. Then she became really clear about her vision. I drew a portrait of her so that her words, her vision were looking back at her through the lines and the shadows of her own face. And within 3 days, she began dating. Within a few months, she met someone with whom she had her very first long-term relationship. So perhaps the most important relationship skills are those of having a vision for our relationships and creating daily habits that take us from where we are towards that vision. And then the last skill is about supporting one another to be our fullest selves, to follow our dreams. Now, we're going to talk in the next module about creating meaning and being really authentic and clear so that we attract the kind of people we really want to be in relationship with. This is powerful stuff. So do spend some time on it. And in your workbook, you'll see lots and lots of questions. It's not an exhaustive list, but it just skims the surface. So take some time, develop questions of your own, and really go deep. You're not alone in this. I'm here for you. I want you to have an amazing future, a happy life full of love and passion and friendship. I want you to be your best self, your most wonderful self, and to share that uniqueness with the world around you. So, with some love from me, I look forward to hearing how you get on with this module and seeing you in the next one. Thanks for listening.